Hello and welcome to the next episode of the CoolKarnis. This is your host and host, Sanjeev CoolKarni. This is our final podcast for the year, and we will close with a journey that will stay with you. It's a story of a trailblazer, a CoolKarni, who calls herself an obnoxious middle child and an ugly duckling, who rebelled against the societal norms imposed on girls. But what could she do? She was growing up in a conservative world. But then a chance meeting with a reputed fashion photographer, her grandmother's bangles, and a single photo shoot that changed her life. It gave her the confidence. It gave that duckling her wings to break free and fly so high via Dubai that she could almost see the northern lights. This is the journey of Vanessa Vaz, which she was, now Vanessa Eriksson, wife of Pär Eriksson and mother to 3 beautiful girls. And today, she's a force to reckon with in Sweden and in the Nordic regions, as a leader for data, analytics, and artificial intelligence, or AI. Through her initiative, Girls at Tech Nordics, or GATN, she works tirelessly to ensure that girls see technology as a profession and not just a tool. She's received several national and regional awards, but the one that stands out, in my opinion, is the Data and AI Influencer Award. I'm truly inspired by both Vanessa and Pär for showing us that education does not stop at any age, and they continue to pursue their advanced studies even today. In this conversation, we explore her beautiful journey, her career, even learn a little bit about Swedish culture, best enjoyed over a fika. I'm doubly excited as this episode features a first guest who has come through a viewer recommendation, and I'm hoping that many more such voices will join us in the new year. Wishing you all a very happy holiday season and a wonderful new year ahead. Let's get started. Everyone, this is your host and host Sanjeev CoolKarni here with another episode of the CoolKarnis with a new guest and a new trailblazer. Let's welcome Vanessa Eriksson. Vanessa,
thank you, Sanjeev. Sorry, I'm so excited and so happy to be here. So I will let you finish.
No, not at all. I think my next question was just how are you, and you started at that point, so that's perfect.
Yes. It's a Monday. The day is just starting here in Sweden, and I'm just so happy to meet Deepa's brother and be on your podcast.
Thank you. Yes, I have to start by thanking my sister Deepa for absolutely connecting me with you, Vanessa. And then that one LinkedIn post of yours that I saw told the story, and I had everything pictured in my head in terms of how we should be doing this podcast. But before I go into introducing you, why don't I request you to introduce yourself to our viewers, and then we will go through your life journey one step at a time.
Yeah, that sounds like a long journey. But let's start. I'm Vanessa Eriksson. I live in Stockholm, in Sweden. I have my own company today. Mm-hmm. I work with data and AI. I have worked with data for my entire career. I have my own podcast that talks about data, AI, innovation, and leadership. I've been a chief data officer within the automotive, within the telco and the fintech industries. I'm a mom to 3 brilliant daughters and the wife to a very humble and kind-hearted Swedish man, Pär. We have 2 dogs, Morris and Malte. They're 2 Maltesers. And I love my life. I am very grateful for my life. I come from India, from Bombay, Baikala, where Deepa, your sister, and I went to class in school together. It's been a long time and a long journey. So that's why I think if we're going through this, it's going to take a long time. But, I'm 53 years and life couldn't really be better.
Wonderful. You've given us all the right data about your life. Yes. And as always, it's the data is all in the lineage. I don't talk and act like I'm a data expert, especially not in front of a CDO, but it's all about the lineage. So it starts from there. So let's start from there. Let's start from the lineage itself. Let's start from Baikala, probably even 2 steps behind. Tell us a little bit more about Vanessa when she was Vanessa Vaz.
Yes, Vanessa Vaz. Wow, feels so long ago. I was obnoxious, to put it plain and simple, obnoxious. And sometimes when I, think about those days, I'm almost embarrassed. But I'm the middle child. Mm-hmm. And and I think middle kids, you just have to fight your way and make space for yourself. And I think that's my nature, just making space for myself.
Hmm.
Um, I ended up being the head girl of the school that both Deepa and I went to. And it was not because I was obnoxious, because there was a time where I was punished, for being the person that I was, stubborn and bold. And I was made to kneel outside the principal's office for quite a while.
Neil.
Um, yes, because that was the shame you were supposed to feel. Kneel down in front of the principal's office, so all the parents that came to pick up their kids and everybody got to see you. And yeah, I don't think that actually made me feel any shame. It was just, yeah, I'm here again. And it was always because I was speaking in class, talking out of place, just being silly and naughty. But the principal of the school, Sister Margaret, she called to tell me in class 9 that the teachers have voted for, you vote for the vice captains and then the captains. And she said they were selecting the vice captains. And she told me, I want you to know nobody voted for you. And I thought, why are you telling me this? Because, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
And then she said, but I want you to know that I am going to make you the head girl, and just now you're going to be the vice captain. And I thought, okay. But that this lady was so smart. I'm still in touch with her, and she was just so smart because, I mean, being suddenly pushed in that limelight, responsible for cleanliness, responsible for, getting order. There was no way I could disobey.
Right.
There was no way I could lead everybody to like, oh, let's chat now, let's talk now. So, that was my first taste of leadership as well. And I've told her I'm so grateful to this nun because she really got me out
of from where you were and to this path of leadership.
Yes.
Amazing. What a journey, right? Sometimes it's all about those triggers. You just need one trigger, yes. And then things start changing for you.
Yes, but also I think, Sanjeev, what I want to say, it doesn't. You don't realize it then and there because you're still on that journey and you're still struggling or whatever. It takes a few years before you understand what has happened to you.
Correct.
It takes a few years before you can reflect on what just happened.
And what benefit it had, because it might not make any sense to you when it's actually happening.
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely. Yeah. So thanks for sharing that. And just to introduce what the CoolKarni is, and because what you just said is a very good segue into explaining the genesis of the show itself. Incidentally, we complete 1 year today. By the time we come up with this podcast, it will probably be another date, but the day we are recording, which is August 25th, is
congratulations.
Thank you. And it all started as just a passion, wherein I wanted to bring forth the passion that people have. Because all of us might be having some passion projects or some things that we do, or some path that we have taken, and we just feel that that's the only thing we got to do. We are too resistant to shake ourselves off. But then there are some trailblazers who come along and they have shown that they have the trigger, they have the passion, they have the will to kind of start going on a different path, to do go on a path where others haven't gone, and therefore lead the path. So it is the CoolKarnis, using the Hindi term Karnis is what we celebrate. The cool deeds or the CoolKarnis of our trailblazers. So Vanessa,
I'm so impressed.
Yes,
I'm really impressed. Well done.
Thank you. Many people think it's a take on my last name, which it is, to be honest. But it has a meaning behind it. So there is also a very beautiful past that you have. You did not mention much about that in your intro, but then your LinkedIn post did have that. The reason I'm using the term beautiful is not just because it is beautiful, but it also had something to do with the world of beauty and world of modeling. Tell us a bit about that.
True. And it was just wonderful to talk to you the last time when you asked me to be on your show, because that was such an eye opener. And so yes, growing up, I actually told my youngest yesterday, I actually believe I was the ugly duckling, in my household, because my sister was really very beautiful, very ladylike. And there I was, a hooligan, a ruffian. I had buck teeth, the teeth coming out, and my mum would cut my hair really short. so that, because in school you always tended to get lice from one another. So she kept it really short so it was easy to clean. And yeah, and so imagine that I was teased a lot, especially by my family, my older brother. And it, you have, I think, some kind of confidence in yourself a little bit, because that's your own self-esteem. But then, where beauty lies, it was zero. So imagine my good fortune when I was at a wedding and a top photographer noticed me. And the next day he called home to ask if I would consider being a model.
Mhm.
And of course I laughed, because I thought that, are you playing, kind of teasing me or making fun of me? But well, it turns out he wasn't, and his wife was a top model in India at that time. Um, so he asked me if I would come and do a portfolio, because I said I didn't have any photographs of myself. And he said he was very happy. He wanted to take pictures of me. And his wife was very heavily pregnant at that time. But it cost a lot of money at that time. I mean, let's say 10,000, for somebody who's still in school. It was a lot of money. There was no way I had that kind of money. And my parents we were not rich. We were just, what do you call it? We were well-to-do, but we were not rich people.
Yeah.
So mom, when I
10,000
asked
meant a
mom for the
lot
money,
those days.
sorry,
So 10,000 meant a lot in those days.
it meant a lot, yes. And also, when you are not a rich family, my mom just said flat out no, that she had 4 children and she could not give me any one child that kind of money, which of course made sense. So I didn't bug her. When Denzel called me back, and I just told him, no, forget it, because I don't have that money. And he said, you know what, I'll do it for you free. You just have to pay I had to pay the makeup artist and some hairstylist. And at that time, my grandmother, my father's mom, had just passed away and left me 2 bangles, which is also a wonderful story, because I was sitting and studying for my exam, and she walked in and she took out her bangles and gave it to me. She said, I know you're going to pass your 10th standard exam. I had those 2 bangles, so I sold those 2 bangles to pay for this, the makeup artist and the hairstylist. And I'm thinking, when I saw those pictures, first, nobody in the family could believe it was me. Uh, and then, I also had a hard time, like, wow. And it was, since I'd never been a model before, I didn't think about it. I said his pregnant wife was on the floor showing me how to pose,
Wow.
with her big stomach. And I'm so grateful to this couple, I tell you, because she said, this is how you should do it, Vanessa. Try to do it like this. Try to stretch your body. And I was doing what she said. And well, long story short, I was on the cover of Femina 33 years ago, February issue. And it was fantastic. But also,
And
I did a lot.
this was from that same photo shoot, or the Femina happened much later?
No, same photo shoot.
Same photo shoot. Wow.
Yeah. And I think things just happened for me. But also from there, the confidence that I never had, because suddenly I didn't need to prove a point to anybody. The confidence just came. It just helped me just move on from there.
What a beautiful story, and what a beautiful explanation of how one trigger point, it can come in any shape or form. In this case, it came
Yes.
to you through this photo shoot, but that one photo shoot just changes everything for you, isn't it?
Yes.
And the way you
Yes,
narrated
and
this,
the gratitude. I think for me more, I'm so grateful to this couple, Denzel and his wife Sharon, but then to my grandmother, because it was only after talking to you that day that I realized, wow, that was the point where everything changed for me, because I never looked back.
yeah,
It was just the confidence came. Yes, of course, that didn't mean I didn't make mistakes, but also then you got the kind of confidence where, I quickly stepped out of this modeling scene as well, because I suddenly realized that this is not the environment I want to be in. Having come from where people are constantly teasing me for the way I look, and then somebody telling me over there that I don't know. One of the models, we were at a photo shoot, and she said, I don't know why they're putting you on the cover, because I am more beautiful than you.
Gosh,
And that
interesting.
really, that got me thinking, I don't really want to be, now that I've got my own confidence, I don't need you to tell me that, take it away. If you are more beautiful than me, girl, take it away. I don't need this. So I left very quickly, and I went to Dubai to work.
Fantastic. That's a fantastic story. I just want to make one point here. You did talk about your grandmother as well. Sometimes I feel that, our grandparents or elders, especially, are there in our life, not just to kind of give us all the love and attention and the pampering, but also sometimes to give us those little things that we need. Probably they see it better, especially when they say in our culture that when your end is closed, you start seeing a few things. There's some kind of clairvoyance in a way. It almost feels like she not only gave you her bangles, which helped in terms of the money, of course, but she also gave you her blessings, which made that shift for you.
Oh, totally, totally. I absolutely accept that. Yes, I
Thank you.
agree.
Thanks to your grandma, absolutely, for that. Just help me understand, paint a picture of what does the life of a model look like, because all we get to see is the final
Yeah,
cover shoot. We don't know what happens behind.
yeah. Of course. So you remember the Benza showroom? Benza was a big name when I was a kid.
Oh, Benzer,
Uh,
yes, of course. Charat,
yes, yes.
Benzer, I remember all these.
Yes, yeah, I did the Benza ad that time,
Mhm.
and it was of some of their clothing. One was in the middle of the night at Nariman Point. It was an open manhole, and I had to jump over it because they wanted the top. It was a long blouse, and they wanted it. It was like a tent. So they wanted the whole effect of the tent to be, kind of made visual in that advert. And I jumped, I think it was like 2 o'clock in the morning because the roads were empty then at Nariman Point. They had a water tanker water the whole road over there because for the reflection of the lights in the water on the road. And my mom was sitting down in the car because she didn't leave me alone. She came with me and she was sitting down, like for 2 or 3 hours. And I did about 40 or 50 jumps on this water just until they got the right shot that
Hit
they
the
were
right
all
jump.
happy with.
Oh
Yes.
God. Okay. So it's not
So
all that
that
glamorous that it
was,
looks. It's not as glamorous as it
sorry.
looks. I said it's not
It's
as
not as
glamorous.
glamorous. No, it's not as glamorous as it looks. But it was fun. So it was things like that where you suddenly appreciate. I mean, what I also liked was I did one for the Times of India, and it was very sweet, girly like nighties. Little fluffy pants, and it was so wonderful because you come there, you sit down, somebody is doing your face and somebody is doing your hair, and then you get to take all the clothes home.
Oh, okay. That's an added
And you
bonus.
get also you get paid for the assignment, and you get to take all the clothes home. So it was a good life, and that is also I made a lot of money because in India you don't leave until you get married.
Mhm.
Maybe it's changed now, but in my time, in our time when we lived at home, it wasn't like that. You stayed at home until you got married, and of course things like toothpaste and you don't have to think about buying that, right? Because it's just available at home.
Parents have it. Just make use of it.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah, that is. I was very rich then. At least I felt very rich at that
Very
point.
much. And how many years did you do this? The whole modeling journey?
No, not long at all, because it was not. It was.
Not
I,
for you.
I felt the pangs every time I had to go for a shoot. And I think that this. Because it was just coming out of my shell that I was pretty,
Mhm.
but still that fear, the teasing and everything, it takes a while to shed it off
Correct.
completely.
You
So
don't get
every
that thick
time
skin.
I was with, either it was a catwalk or whatever, being surrounded by these beautiful women, I always felt small again. So, and that is also which helped me to think, I don't need this. I got what I want for
Mm,
myself, for my confidence. I don't need to be challenging myself all the time, especially about looks, because looks don't last forever.
absolutely.
It's your brains that are more important.
That is more important. So then you talked about Dubai. I have a question that I want to ask about your mom, but hopefully I'll come remember it and come back to it in a while. But you talked about Dubai. The minute I had heard, modeling and Dubai in the same sentence, I kind of got a thought that some underworld call came and that's how we went to Dubai or something. I'm sure that's not the case of how it happened.
No, no, no. It was actually an ex-boyfriend that wanted me to come and and live in and work in Dubai with him. He was very nice. He was very kind, and I managed to convince my mum to please let me go to Dubai, because my dad was, of course, not willing to let me go. But I convinced my mum to please let me go, because if this is the guy I want to marry, it would be nice to get to know him a little better.
Correct. Okay.
And I'm very glad that she let me go, because in that 3 months I realized, okay, maybe you're not for me.
I just love how these bold decisions that you have taken have kind of pointed you in the right direction as well. You took the bold decision that you wanted to get into modeling. You realized that's not the one. You took the bold decision of going to Dubai to test out, if this person is right, and you realized it's not the one. That itself is a good message, that you, instead of just ruminating over, is this the right thing or not, you just dive into it, test out for yourself, figure out, doesn't work, move on, cut your losses fast.
Yeah. Yes.
Wonderful.
So I realized quickly, and then I stayed with a girlfriend of mine, another one from the same school that Deepa and I went to. And then I was working at ABB, and I bumped into the sweetest and the shyest man I've ever met.
Say that again.
And
the shyest man.
Yeah.
Okay.
A very shy man.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, I very quickly made another decision. You're going to marry me, but you don't know that yet.
Very nice. So you got at par with him.
Yes, but he was really. That's my husband also. So we've been together now for 28 years.
Wonderful.
But I just never met a shy guy before.
And is he still shy, or you have had an
No,
impact on him?
it's not. It doesn't work any longer. He's not shy, and I think with our 3 daughters, that is gone.
So he's of course being pampered, right? He's the man
Yes.
in the house, and all 4 of you are pampering him, so all the shyness will go away, I guess.
Yes, indeed.
Or was it just a tactic to to marry you? Maybe you didn't know that yet.
No, I think no, he had never had a girlfriend before.
There you go. Fantastic. Well done. What's the right way to pronounce it, by the way? I know it's written as P-A-R, but what's the right way to pronounce it?
Pär.
Pär. That's no wonder my joke fell flat there, because I said, did you get at par with him? But that's not how it is.
Okay,
How it's pronounced.
It's A with the 2 dots.
Pär. Okay.
Yes.
Like the fruit in a way. Pär.
Yes.
Wonderful.
The English so it's Pär in Swedish, and the English name would be Peter.
Is that right? Okay. So this is Peter, the name. All right. Okay. Good to know. That's fascinating about how names take different forms, largely in Europe. Good to know that. I just one side note while we are there, my name will get pronounced differently in different countries. Right.
Yeah.
So I spent some time in France for about 4 months for my studies. So I was fine. Sanjeev was okay there. You go down towards Spain and you become Sanjeev. And you go a little up towards the Nordics and you'll become Sanjeev. So the J is pronounced as a Y. And so, different places, different pronunciation.
It's the same here. The J is a Y in Sweden.
Y in the Nordics.
In Swedish, yes.
Absolutely. All right. So Dubai happens. And how was Dubai? How was that? That's the first exposure you had outside of Mumbai by and large as a big city?
Yeah, I think Dubai was really good that time because there were not so many people, and it was kind of almost a luxury to be a woman, at least what I recall. Because
All right.
I didn't have to stand. I remember when going to any government office or whatever, you didn't have to stand in a line. They just told you, come here. So it always felt like like a privilege to be a woman. Where today it wouldn't work, because we want equal for everybody.
Correct.
Irrespective, so it at least that is what I remember. It was a long time ago. I stayed there for 5 years, and I met Pär at ABB. We were working together in the same office.
It's a Swedish
company.
ABB.
ABB, yes.
Yeah.
And then I moved to telematics. I started at the Hilton. So I first was at the Hilton when I was with my ex-boyfriend. And then I moved to ABB, and after that to telematics. And then we decided to leave. And I think it's also a very fun story if you want to hear, because Swedish people typically don't get married.
Okay.
You live in.
Not get married.
Yeah. All right. No, they believe that raising children together is a bigger commitment than going to church or than making vows to one another. So getting married is not placed as a high. It is having children, and raising children together. That is a bigger commitment for them. So naturally, when, having had my own share of boyfriends, I said I knew that I wanted to marry Pär right away. But he didn't want to marry me because he wanted me to come to Sweden, and he just said no, no, and I thought there's no way I'm coming to Sweden with you if you're not getting married to me. And he said it was a piece of paper. And I said, I'm Catholic. We do this one time in church. We go to church, and I'm going to promise you, and there's no turning back from there. Absolutely. I mean, it's going to be a really sad story. Yes, if you're going to have to turn back. And I explained to him, and then immediately he told me to sit down on the sofa. He went into the bedroom, and I could hear him jingling some jewelry. And I thought, I know he doesn't have a ring because we hadn't planned this. But he came back with his student ring. So in Sweden, you get a ring when you pass, when you graduate. It's a gold ring, and it's very typical for engineers, at least the one that he had. So he went down on his knee and he asked me to marry him with that. Wow. But it was only after I explained to him the importance of it, because otherwise he thought, no, we're not getting married.
This is romantic in its own way, but sorry to put it this way, but this is also funny because yes. The girl is actually trying to propose to the boy that, will you marry me? And the boy is saying no.
Yes.
And yes. and he's kind of sort of almost there ruining all your plans that you would have ever had of dreaming down how will you be walking down the aisle and you're planning your marriage, and this guy is just saying no. And then proposes with student ring. Oh, I love this.
But I think it's also very nice to know cultures, because as Indians we are so different, and to actually understand another culture. And then also, because you're absolutely right, my husband was the most, and probably is still, the most unromantic person, and then to marry somebody like me who is so romantic, oh my gosh. I think it was such a contrast. But I think getting to understand, every time he said something to me that would upset me, I would run in to the bathroom, cry, finish crying, and come back out to continue the fight. But I realized that, he was very truthful in saying he'd never had a girlfriend before. So I had to keep that in mind, that he doesn't know how, because he would genuinely ask me, did I upset you? Mm-hmm. So I had to learn to say, yes, actually you upset me, because, you shouldn't be saying this, or this was kind of rude. And he would explain.
Wow. I love the story, the way you have told this, and how all this came about. Well done.
Thank you.
I'm going to pronounce his name. Pär.
Yes. There you got it.
Apologies, Pär, if I keep mispronouncing it, but I'm making a sincere attempt. So I want to understand this. So it's interesting that you say that they don't. So do you not have many married people around you then in Sweden?
And then sometimes they get married years later when the kids are grown up, or, the kids are like 10 years, 6 years, or whatever. And then they get married. Or maybe not. They just live that is their commitment.
That probably explains, because you're right about the cultural part. And there are a couple of, when my daughter was young, in the first school that she went to, there were a couple of couples who were doing exactly that. They were not married. They were raising the kids together. And we were not able to figure out. We thought it's some gimmickry around, what kind of benefits you get from the government or something, because in Australia you can. But this probably makes more sense now, that culturally that's how they see it. Raising the kids is the highest level of commitment. Marriage is not that much. So, let's commit at this level, and this will automatically happen.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So fast forward, you come over to, how long were you in Dubai for collectively?
5 years.
5 years. And then you come into Sweden. You said it was roughly 28 years ago. So we are talking of maybe what, 97?
97.
97. Wonderful. So still in the previous millennium. How was that? How diametrically opposite, isn't it? Mumbai to Dubai is also different, but you can still kind of compare, because you see the same, more or less the same sort of, people from the same background, at least. You'll come across a lot of Indians. It's just a better and a bigger cosmos city. But Sweden would be completely different. Are you in Stockholm, or are you in some other place?
Stockholm. Yeah, we live in Stockholm.
So how was that? Just walk us through the first couple of years in
Oh my gosh, that was so. Since Pär worked at ABB, there's a city called Västerås, and that is home to ABB in Sweden, and it's like 2 hours road to Västerås from Stockholm. So that's where he had his apartment when we moved back, and it was October when we moved, and that's the autumn, and it's cloudy, rainy, cold. And then there was nobody on the streets. So if you can imagine coming from India where there's 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock, there's always somebody still walking.
Correct.
And coming to Westeros, it was like 8 o'clock, even earlier. Like completely like a ghost town. And I just thought, what is this? Where is everybody? That was my first reaction. And then also, I think we had like a couple of weeks, 2 weeks or more, with no sun. It was just grey.
No sun.
No sun. So,
okay. So it was grey. It wasn't dark all along, but it was just cloudy, so you couldn't see.
Yes. Yeah. And that's when, I felt a fear, because I thought, because every morning when you come from India, you just expect the sun to be out shining. Yeah. You just take it for granted. So imagine suddenly thinking, oh my God, it's 2 weeks and I haven't seen the sun. And I just thought, wow, how you suddenly appreciate like the sun.
Simple and small things.
I mean, yes, small things. But and I think we stayed in Westeros for 2 months, because then Pär asked me to join him for dinner one day, and he guided me on how to take the train and meet him at the central station in Stockholm. And it was 6 o'clock in the evening, because I was meeting him for dinner. And everybody was rushing out of Central Station, people coming home from work. And I was going towards it. And I just stood there, loving the crowd. and people pushing. And I got like, yes. So I called him up and I explained to him where I was standing. And I said, I want an apartment up in this building. I want to be here. So we just stayed in Västerås for two months, and we moved to Stockholm. Not entirely that building, but in one of the suburbs, and that's where we were for 2 years, until our second girl was then born, and then we moved to where we are now.
Wonderful. What an amazing journey and a story. But let me stick on to the Stockholm and Sweden part a bit more, and then move from there towards the second part of your journey. So this was an amazing story about how, from Mumbai to a quiet place like Västerås, and then you make your way back to. But tell us a bit more about the Swedish culture. What else kind of caught your attention?
So much.
I have never been to Sweden, but there is a lot of Sweden in my home, if you get where I'm coming from. It's a lot of IKEA in my home. So, nice. And I somehow feel like, here's one more PJ warning already. I feel that, they came up with the name they were inspired by this in Mumbai. That's my belief. Because, it would be like, ye sab kisne kiya? I kiya. Like I did it. So that's how they came up with IKEA.
Okay. Yeah.
Bahut bekar PJ tha, but sorry.
The shift was, I have moments of like, what were those people thinking? So I had friends that invited us for dinner. I mean, one was, if you come from India, you know that soup is not dinner. Soup is soup. And
Correct.
Then you'll get dinner.
Correct.
Yeah. So they invited us for a beautiful, delicious, massive pot of fish soup. And I didn't get it. So I thought this was a starter. Or,
So you just had a few sips.
I didn't eat. Yeah, I didn't eat much. And thank goodness I didn't say, because they said, oh, Vanessa, you didn't like it. And I was about to say, no, I'm waiting for the main course. And I'm thinking, thank God I didn't say that, because that was it. That was it.
Oh, my goodness.
That was one horrific, like, whoa, somebody needs to prep me and let me know what people can give you for dinner. And then the other thing was goat cheese. Have you eaten goat cheese?
I might have in one of the cheese platters or something.
It's a very it's like you have to really love cheeses to like goat cheese, because you can get a mild one and then you can get a strong one. But I think if you've never it's not the culture of India to sit down with a platter of cheese, different cheeses, right? So yeah, I mean, we'll have Kraft cheddar cheese at home, but goat cheese, and everybody at the table was going on with like, wow, this is so good. And I thought, come on, Vanessa, you can do this. You can do this. I just couldn't, and I took one bite of it, and the I don't know, I just couldn't eat it. So I thought, you know what, I don't need to do this. So I just put my fork and knife down and I said, I'm sorry, but this is really not my taste. But when I think back about that, I'm almost irritated with this couple for, I'm an Indian. I've just moved. Can you give me something that is a little kinder and more welcoming to people who are just visiting, or just come to your country? Yes, make it easier. You give me like the hardest thing to introduce me to Swedish culture. That is not, goat cheese is not Swedish culture. It's French. So you see, I still sound a bit irritated, right?
No, but the thought that is coming to me, Vanessa, is that obviously, with such amazing starting incidents that you have had,
yes,
28 years and you're still there. So there is absolutely something that you love about Sweden. There is probably more that you love about Pär and the family, and of course now your daughters. So let's get into that side of the journey. So what started attracting you towards the culture and Sweden holistically? How did that next part of the journey start?
I love the culture. It's a very honest, very transparent. People speak their minds, but they're also, unlike the Dutch, they do not offend. They will find the way to say it to you in the kindest way. And that is really the Swedish culture. And yes, I mean, they are very polite people. At the start, I think, and I usually tell people, since I'm always, we have consultants coming in from India or other cultures, and I'm actually also a mentor today. It's one of my services that I have. And, usually it's people from other countries. And I try to tell them, because they find it hard to integrate into the society, into the culture. And Swedish people can come across as nose stuck up in the air, but it's not. They are just shy people. And until you break that and you get to know them, then they are most wonderful. But it's also because of the cold. I mean, what it starts, it's already now, it's 13 degrees outside. So already from now to next year, March, you are huddled up inside. So you don't see so many people outside. And I think, family is big. That is true. So you come in and you kind of close your door, and then it's not so open to have people. It's not like the open culture we have in India where, come on over, there's place for everybody, just we'll have leftovers. You can, it's not quite like that. Yeah. That's the difference. So I think that's where people find it hard to get into the Swedish, make friends in Sweden.
Absolutely. But Sweden, slightly coming to the other side, Sweden's also been the home for a lot of the engineering, top engineering names and organizations that we think of. One of them obviously is the famous last name that you have, but what I realized is that they are spelled differently. So while we come to the engineering aspect, I'm just curious, is there a difference between how you spell Eriksson, the company Eriksson, versus your last name? Is there a difference?
No, and I think that was also a name. It's Eriksson, the brand Eriksson is also a name. I mean, it was somebody's name, and that's why Lars Eriksson.
Okay, so they can just choose to spell it whichever, it's with a K or a double C, whatever, doesn't matter. Yeah. Or a C.
It's LME. Yeah, Lars Magnus Eriksson. Right. I'm just trying to remember the name of the founder. Yeah. Yes. So this is also just a name, but that is the brand. And you can also have, since it's also a family name, people can have Ericsson also as a family name.
I'm just wondering if there is ever going to be somebody who's an Eriksson.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. I mean, so when I worked at Ericsson, it was Vanessa Eriksson at Ericsson, even though, another K, it was a K, but, it sounds funny when you say it, Vanessa Eriksson at Ericsson.com.
Actually, that would have been your email ID, isn't it? Like Eriksson at Ericsson.com. All right. That reminds me of, I don't know if I told you this, but before Deepa started at Gloria's, she used to be a boarding student at a boarding school in Mathura. So I was too young at that time, but I still kind of vaguely remember that there used to be a doctor in Matharan, who obviously was a doctor. So, like the plus sign wala, doctor. But his last name was also doctor. So he used to be like doctor.
Yeah. But I mean, there's a lot of Indians that take their profession as the family name.
Correct. And especially since you were in Baikla, I remember, the Gloria Convent.
The Timberwala.
The Timberwalas. I don't know how many of them would be Lakadawalas as their last name. Or
yes.
Like that.
Yes.
All right.
True.
But coming back to this point again, ABB itself is an example. Ericsson is an example. Nokia is not Swedish, right? Sorry, I don't want to get confused on that. But nonetheless, there's a lot of engineering that happens around the Nordics and especially in Sweden. Any observations of why that's the case? What drives them towards engineering like this, and the excellence, especially.
Yeah, I mean, I can only observe. I think that it's home. You're absolutely right. It's home to a lot of Swedish companies. I mean, engineering companies, also Volvo, and I think especially in Gothenburg, where you have Volvo cars and Volvo trucks. There's a lot of engineering communities out there, but I think it's the government. That is one that invest heavily into into innovation and engineering. So and then you have two big foundations that also make a lot of investments into this future tech. So I think that's where you have the country itself investing into the intelligence, building intelligence. I think that is really my observation, because you get funding from the governments, you get funding from these foundations to keep the innovation alive and to continuously churn out new models of whatever we're working with.
Wonderful. I think that's excellent to know that. And yes, I totally agree that governments play a big role and must play a big role. In Australia, especially, we are at that juncture now that we really need the government to do something. I don't know how much you're aware of Australia, but Australia, of course, is this huge landmass, and the bulk of the quote unquote wealth, whichever way you look at wealth, of Australia comes from mining. It comes from under the earth. And it's about time that instead of mining the earth, we need to do more data mining. We need to do more. You need to create IP, which is more on the intellectual or the side of things, rather than just what comes from under the earth. And the government needs to play a big role. And there is a lot that is going on in terms of what can the government do. But before I try to become a politician there, which I'm not, let's move from the world of modeling to the world of data modeling. Now, how does that happen? And how easy was that? Since you already knew modeling, did data modeling become easier? Silly question again.
Yeah, no, no, not because also I'm not an engineer, and it was quite by accident that I ended up in that space. I think I got in at Ericsson, and I was just an admin, at that time. And I say just an admin because my kids were really small, and my husband had a job he was at Sony Ericsson, and he was traveling a lot. So, both can't have power jobs. So I was just, the one dropping them to daycare and picking them up from school and stuff. And I was very happy with that. But I was at Ericsson working with lawyers, and when I lost my job, it was the first IT crash in 2000, sometime early 2000. And and I thought, okay, if I want to get another job, I needed to go back and study Swedish, because up until that point, I did not speak Swedish fluently, or I did not speak it. So I went to an intensive course to just learn Swedish, and then to challenge myself, I applied to the Swedish Migration Board to kind of just get a job, because I thought I needed to be in an atmosphere, an environment where Swedish was the way, the language of speaking at work. I got the letter from the Swedish Migration Board that there were 619 people who applied, and only 15 people, they only needed 15. So for the interview, which was 3 hours long, and it was all in Swedish, and I got in, but I can tell you it was so challenging, mentally, tiring because I was taking every English sentence and then translating it and then, spitting it out. And at the end of 3 hours of doing that, I was almost stuttering. I was so tired. But I remember the last interview was with the hiring manager, and how tiring that was. But I got the job. I only stayed there for 3 years because my Swedish manager, a lady, I was pregnant with my last daughter at that time, and the Swedish lady told me, Vanessa, you don't need to do everything today. Because people are constantly seeking asylum in the country, and it was no different back then. And I would take my role was to action out all the decisions made by the lawyers and the people working with those, to action them out. So whether people were going to stay or they had to leave the country.
Mhm.
And I would take all these files and go into my room and start to action them. And she told me, you don't need to do all this today. You can leave it tomorrow. And that really killed my motivation, because if you are a person who wants to just get things done, telling me to keep things for tomorrow, I don't want to hear that.
And
So
this sort of curiosity, was she saying it because she felt that you could be tired, you pregnant, or is that just the way in which?
probably. But it was just, I think if you are tired, you will say, I am tired and I can't do it. But if I'm just taking the stuff to action and I haven't complained or haven't said a word, then I'm kind of, it was just killing my energy and my enthusiasm. So after 3 years, I left that, and then I had my baggage of Swedish, work life, kind of Swedish, because that's different from just conversing with your neighbors or friends. And that's when I got into Ericsson, then Sony Ericsson, and then just kept moving on, because I was responsible for data. It was SAP data at Ericsson. That's how it was quite by accident. There was somebody who I knew who just said, they need people, why don't you come? And that was my step in. They were working with SAP master data for vendor and customer data. And it was just so easy to learn how to work that system. And, I just quickly learned the vendor and the bank and all the modules that there were, because it was fun to understand how this all connects, behind the scenes when you just send an invoice, and how this, so I was actually sent to the Philippines to train new staff in the new office that they opened in Manila. So then I kind of realized very quickly, this is a place I like. I mean, data, because it kind of excites me to see, what can you do with this? How does it connect behind the scenes? So from there, I went to Sony Ericsson, and then it was 27 production sites all over the world. So I started to travel a lot. But it was basically to verify what the production was versus the shipment, and what we were actually making, and working together with the analysts. So it was just a fun time. But then Sony Ericsson decided to close their office here in Stockholm, and my husband and I were both working at Sony Ericsson. And we were very fortunate. We both got contracts to move to the south of Sweden, because they were building their headquarters over there. So we got contracts, and we signed the contracts to move all of us. And sometimes when you said, I'm a decisive person, and we were there in the place is called Lund, Lund, and we were there. We found a plot, we found a house, and we agreed to buy it. So my husband was down talking to the bank, and we were signing the deal to the house. And he called me up, which is also very odd, because he normally doesn't do that. He called me up and told me, okay, it's all settled. All I have to do is just sign it, and then we're ready to go. And I remember this moment. I've talked about this moment a lot, because I cannot believe that I did this. I was standing in my kitchen. It was in the morning. It was a blue sky. I didn't see a single cloud in the sky. And I asked him, describe the weather to me. And he said, Skåne, the region where this is, he says, it's Skåne is like the UK. It's overcast. There's always a bit of drizzle. So he said small rain. That means small, little rain. And he said, the weather, it's just small rain. And I said, it's a beautiful day in Stockholm. The sun is shining, not a cloud, don't sign. And he said, what? So I said, don't sign, leave it. We're not moving. I based my judgment just on, this is a sign for me, don't move. He said, he didn't ask me another question. He just, okay, we'll talk when I get home. So he got home and I thought, I explained to him, let's not do it. And I think that at that moment, it was very clear. There was something telling me, you don't need to do this. And I listened to myself, that voice. But of course, what that meant was we both didn't have jobs because, we had both signed contracts with HR saying we're moving to the south. We both didn't have jobs. And I thought, oh, shit, what have I done? But, it's quickly, I thought, okay, it's the summer coming up, no jobs available in the summer. So why don't we close the house? Let's go to India. My brother had an apartment on the beach. Let's just chill because the kids are small. We can pull them out of school and daycare. So that is what we did. But, God be praised, because before I stepped on that flight to go to India, I had already been headhunted and signed my next contract. So one of us had a job before we left.
Look at that. Really, God is especially kind to you, Vanessa. I genuinely feel that, because not only are you getting those indications in some shape or form, and of course, if you're getting the indications and he's taking care of you, then everything will fall in place, right?
Yes. And this moment is truly, because I often look back, I talk about this moment because I think sometimes, we all have a voice inside of us telling us, and I think that listening to that is never wrong. And this is one of my examples, which, it like shit happened day 2 because HR was calling both of us, you can't do this. And we said, yes, we can. And I think that, moving from India to Dubai to, Westeros to Stockholm, from the apartment to the house, and I thought, I can't do this again. I don't need to be, building my network time and time again. I just need to settle and we'll figure it out.
Absolutely. Every story that I'm hearing, Vanessa, is so empowering in a way, but also at the same time reinforcing this point that I just said, that there is some divine blessing and intervention that is kind of constantly reappearing, and I'm sure it will reappear a couple more times. But I want to lighten this up a bit. Okay, so this is going to be a very quick successive questions that I'm going to ask in a rapid fire mode. First thing that comes to your mind: Swedish black brew or the filter copy of Mumbai, of India?
Swedish brew.
Swedish brew, fantastic. High heels or sneakers? I think I know the answer.
High heels.
Oh, okay. I definitely don't know the answer. Mumbai chaat or Swedish meatballs?
Swedish meatballs.
Okay, wonderful. Did you have a style icon in the 90s, that late 80s, 90s, especially when you were modeling, anyone you looked up to, some crush, celebrity crush, something like that?
It would be Denzel's wife. She was a supermodel, Sharon, but I don't remember her family name.
Okay, and you obviously got to meet her, so that's fantastic. All right. One beauty hack that you learned in the 90s that is still true and you want to share?
No, I don't have a beauty hack, but I love my eyeliner. It's very Indian. It's Lakme.
Lakme.
And I still very much use it. Every India trip, I have to get my eyeliner and come back.
Lakme's. Did you use it? Did you model for Lakme at any point?
No, bloody hell! I need to do that.
It's not too late. Still not too late.
No.
Okay. One Swedish culture trait that you think India must adapt?
Must adapt.
India is a very broad term to say, but in general,
we have a fika. We have something called fika, and fika is just, it could be a cup of coffee, or it could be a cup of coffee with something sweet to eat on the side. And you can say, let's go have a fika anytime.
Okay.
Yes, and I think that's most wonderful, because that means you can also want to have just a chat, but can we have a fika together? And it's a social thing. Yeah.
Again, sorry. PJs will keep coming, okay, so I can't alert you every time. So, is it fika or does it have any flavor? Fika is in the Hindi fika.
Wow. Yeah. See, I sorry, my Hindi is so bad. So yeah, now I get it. Yeah, you can have whatever, but it's basically chocolate or something sweet.
Ah, nice, nice, wonderful. Then, yeah, one modeling hack for the novices. If we want to model now, if you've never done any modeling, one hack that we should know.
It's your confidence is all that you need. That's your hack.
Wonderful. One data modeling hack for the novices.
Data modeling. I think today AI is so everybody's using AI, but I think if you can figure out the data behind that is being used in that gives so much more value to any company than all the AI being generated.
The quality or the real the lineage of the data.
Yes,
absolutely.
And the quality, as you said, Sanjeev.
Both. Fantastic. All right. Coming to the last one, last and then last two. What's one data of beauty that people miss?
It's your inner beauty. It's the personality, the person that you are. Because I think, especially today, I'm looking at young girls. College has just started, university has just started, and taking the bus. I take the bus to my client, and it's just outside the universities. And I think that the amount of makeup that young kids, have on today, because I want to just tell them, you are so beautiful. You don't need all this. But I understand it's another time and another generation that is here today, and this self-realization has to come from you, and it has to come from your confidence as well.
Absolutely. Very well said. That's fantastic. And thanks for that in terms of giving us some very rapid answers on this. I want to continue a little bit on this journey. So you talked about how your journey started in the world of data, but then since then, a lot has happened in the last decade, and you've successively been working as CDO or a chief data officer in a lot of organizations. Just describe to us, what does a day in the life of a CDO look like, Vanessa?
I think it depends on the teams that you have. So I was responsible for IT, for cybersecurity, and for the data. So, and sorry, this is now, yes, this is my most recent job I had. It was Chief Digital Officer at Zenzact. So I was responsible for these three areas, and then basically you're sitting down with the leaders of these three to understand, what needs to be done. Has something happened, especially cybersecurity, because working for a software company, you need to also help your employees to understand when you cannot download software that is called, it's a fraud, it's a robbery. So, and then it's basically helping your employees to understand. So a day in it's basically, first also, since I was reporting to the CEO, meet the leadership team over there, and then take back whatever actions are coming to my team, but also understanding from my team then, what has happened, what needs to be actioned. And there was always something. And in addition to that, then I also had the role of speaking for the company because it was data. So I was at a lot of events talking about software for self-driving cars and all the features that we were building.
Wonderful.
It was a really, really cool job. I loved it.
That's what I was thinking about. Must be pretty exciting because you're also able to, personally, what I feel is that sometimes it's a combination of what you do in a day job where you're managing a few things, but when you personally get to kind of interact and connect with the larger audience, that is a new high. At least for me, that's an awesome high.
Totally. And I always sat in the open landscape. So, you could always also choose to go into one of the conference rooms and just lock yourself up in the whole day because people disturb you. But I felt like my role as the leader, there's a reason, you have that role. So sit in the open landscape and then people just come to you and say, can I have 5 minutes with you, Vanessa? I just need to tell you something. So I also like that because I think that there's a lot of empathy, that you need to show and also listen to other people, whatever challenges. It might not have been about the job at all. Could have been completely something else, but they wanted to tell you and ask for some advice.
Absolutely wonderful. And I think as your journey progressed, there are a couple of other things that you've done as well. I'm saying this purely based on what I see on LinkedIn, so I'll request you to touch upon this if you don't mind. But there is the whole Girls at Tech initiative that you're running. Is this something within Sweden, or this is a larger charter? To talk to us about this.
It's a larger charter today, but since I'm a mom of three daughters. I was working at Telia. It was IoT connected devices way back when, and I would come home and pick the girls up from school and daycare and sit down at the dining table and start to tell them what is happening. We're putting connected devices in elevators or whatever we were trying to do. And they were very interested. And I could see that the next day they wanted to know, so what happened today? So I thought, what if I take this outside this room, and could I inspire more girls? The friends that we have who have daughters also say that maths is difficult and no, this is not for me. Engineering is not for me. So I thought, what if I take it outside? Could I inspire? Because it doesn't have to be about maths. It's about having fun with innovation. So I bugged some friends. I sent my daughters to their schools and told the principal to send the girls. And we got 15 girls at the first event. And I have to say, Telia is the largest networking operator in an infrastructure in Sweden. I give them a high point for collaboration and helping me on this, because they allowed me to put together an event, and we were doing the connected car at that time, because I got their speakers to come and talk about this. After we did that, then I had PwC, one of the partners at PwC, team up with me, become a co-founder. We took it then all over, in Sweden. But long story short, it's a Nordic initiative now. We've created a non-profit organization, a registered organization, and we have it completely with a board. And, when I talked about these foundations that help give you funding for whatever work you want to do, we have one of those foundations on our board as well. And we've got PwC, who's also, when you're working with kids, girls or boys, it doesn't matter. You want to make sure that you don't have people that shouldn't be there in your organization. So I'm really grateful that PwC is there overlooking the whole thing, as advisors, as auditors, because I want to feel comfortable that, somebody is, I have a big brother checking us and saying that everything is in place. So we're in the Nordics, and this year we're also very happy that Iceland wants to join the network.
Wonderful. And you still are very actively involved in this.
Yes, I'm the chairman of the board, and we have over 250 girls at some of our events, so it's really successful. With that said, I don't want to give the wrong impression. It is still a challenge to get the girls. So we did a small POC with a few schools to see what we're trying to do is, after girls finish in India, it would be class 10. Over here, it is class 9. That's the last year. We want to see how many girls actually take maths and science, in college. The numbers are quite disappointing. So there's still work to be done. So then I'm trying to see, because in India, you have so many women that are engineers. Everybody is an engineer. What is the trick? Why is it so many engineers there? Is it just that they listen to their parents? Because why is it that girls here are so afraid in the Nordics?
Are they afraid, or are they just not interested?
I think that they're afraid. So there's a video of Bella Hadid. She's a top model on YouTube. And this happened a couple of years. She was on the runway. I don't believe she was naked. She might have had a bikini on. And then it was a fashion show, and they spray painted a dress on her. So I usually ask the girls, how many have seen Bella Hadid on the runway? And all the girls hands go up. And this is classes 7, 8, 9. So they're quite small, between 12 and 14, those ages. All the hands go up. And then I tell them, do you know, that is not fashion, that is tech. To spray paint a dress is tech. So I said, now how many of you want to take tech, and work with maths and tech, or I never say maths, how many want to be with innovation and tech, all the hands go up. So I think it's also a different way of talking, and not just saying it's maths, it's science or maths, making it more fun for these girls to be able to just jump in.
That's such a beautiful way to explain it, because there's nothing wrong in the glamour, but it's the ability to show that there is a lot that goes behind it. And you don't just look at the glamour element of it, but look at what it takes to go. And if that interests you, there is a pathway waiting for you to happen.
Yeah. So that's how we're trying to get more girls into, because today, I'm sure you hear of this in Australia as well. There's not so many women in tech.
Yeah.
There's women in tech. There's women in tech all over the world that are trying to increase the numbers because you want diversity in tech. And I'm thinking, if you do not go back to school and influence and inspire them, there's no way you're going to have that flow of women in the tech industry. Because, once you have already studied, or, you've identified which space you want to be in, you're not going to change. So I think that's what I'm trying to do, go back to school and help those kids to get inspired.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think that's just a brilliant initiative. And you're right. Sometimes I feel that it's probably not just girls. Kids in general maybe need to have a better appreciation and a better understanding of what's happening today. I have an 8-year-old at home, and when I look at what excites him or what interests him, it's everything about their world is very different. He thinks that he wants to be a YouTuber. He does not probably understand when I try to tell him. Of course, he's young, and silly me that I try to put this in his head at this early an age. But I try to tell him that by the time he grows up, maybe there's nothing going to be called as a YouTuber. It will be something else, right? But he's too young to understand that. But that's his goal. That's how he thinks. In fact, on a side note, he got very happy to know that I have my own YouTube channel and I do YouTubing.
I was just thinking that this is the inspiration coming from you.
Not really, because literally the next question, and I was shown where I stand, because his next question was, how many followers do you have? And when I gave him the answer, he's like, you're no good, man. I mean, you let me be a YouTuber and I will have followers like this. And I'm like, okay, fine. I need to learn from you. But jokes apart, what I was trying to say was that kids really, these days, probably they need to have a better appreciation of how this whole thing works. But that also leads me to ask my next question, which is that the world around us is really changing very, 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 very fast, right? Maybe kids will get that because that's how kids are. They ride the wave pretty fast. But if you have a crystal ball, what does this new world look like? And maybe you can just take the data and AI perspective. But what does this new world look like? What are we going to look at 10 years from now, 15 years from now?
Yeah. So I'm currently doing an MIT course on the implications of AI. And I think that fear of losing jobs is real. There are people that are really afraid of losing their jobs to AI. And I've always been of the opinion, I don't think we need to be afraid, because I believe that new jobs will be created. So the future is a collaboration with AI, with machines, but where we will be doing more supervisory, more decision making. For repetitive jobs, those are already being handed over to AI, or RPA or robotics or whatever. But I think that there is going to be a future where we have more collaboration with machines and with AI.
Right. Absolutely. And I totally concur with you. Yes, the fear is real, and rightfully so, because our view is more often than not just limited to the set of things that we know as of today. But that industry is going to change. There was a time when there would be bullock carts on the road, or there would be tongas on the road, and when a bus came, buses came along, and there was a massive protest, as they say. But obviously, those days are far gone now, and we know where the world is headed. So tomorrow, if there's going to be driverless buses, no need to be worried. There'll be something else. The anxiety is probably only because I feel that we probably don't know what is the new that might come out, and until we get a sense of what is that new, there's.
But I think there are also a lot of layoffs happening just now. A lot of companies are laying off people, and I think that is also where the rumors start to spread that AI is taking over our jobs. But I think, and also what I'm also trying to talk more about is ageism, because you hit 50, and as you proceed, you're not so attractive any longer in the labor market. So finding ways to be relevant is really important. Whether it's you're studying new things or finding new ways to add value to businesses. I think that would be also something that we all need to start thinking about.
Any words of advice or any tips you have on that front?
No, but I think so. My husband is today was his first day. He's gone back to university and is studying masters in cybersecurity.
University, bravo.
Yes, yes. Because it's the same thing. I mean, how do you keep relevant? And I think cybersecurity, you can't go wrong, because that is going to be really very relevant for all companies. So depending on which space you are in, try to figure out, I mean, in your own, what would you see? If AI is going to take some of the jobs, where do you see then you would be fitting in that model? How would you fit in then? And then, either upskill or reskill with the relevant knowledge or intelligence that you need.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, and bravo to you, Pär, for making a big and a bold decision that you're forever a student. So there's no real age where you can go back and continue learning.
No, and I think that is very much the Nordics, where you do not, because I think in India people tend to laugh about it.
Mm-hmm.
That you've gone back to school or university to study, but there is no shame, and knowledge, you never stop learning.
Absolutely. There is one more facet of your life that we have to now get to, but before we do that, we'll probably just lighten this up a bit more, a little bit.
Am I getting too deep all the time, is it?
Sorry?
Am I getting too deep and too heavy?
No, of course not. It's probably more for me that I have to, take a breath and get back. So my way of lightening up is by asking questions of this nature. All right. So you said you learned a lot of Swedish, right? So now, how is that? Now do you all converse more in Swedish in the family, or now you're still English because you all are stuck on that point? What is a mother tongue? Let me ask it that way for the kids.
Mine is English.
Mm-hmm.
And I always had a tutor at home for Hindi and Marathi. Those were my second languages. But over here, we speak English. I mean, I speak English to the girls, to Pär, and he speaks Swedish to them.
So they have always been conversant in both languages?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. In fact, they are upset with me because I didn't teach them Hindi. But I mean, since it was my second language, I haven't kept up. So it's, except for kitna hai, kya hai,
They know that.
Those are the only things. Yes, the only things that I actually remember. But I'm trying to now. When I'm trying to go more often to India to see my mom.
If you don't mind me, and yeah, absolutely, and I think we should do that more. That's one of the very few negatives that we have when we live so far away from our parents. That it's in that age. In this age is when we probably miss them the most. But what I wanted to understand was. When you moved to Sweden, this is a bit diagonally in a very different area, so apologies. But how did it work on the visa front, etc.? Just because you're a spouse or a partner, does that give you easy access, or there is a long wait again as to becoming a citizen and so on?
So when I just moved to Sweden, I think for 2 years, no, probably more. Because I was married, it was 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think. I don't know what the rules are today. But we had to apply, and I would get an extension on my visa.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was 4 years or 5 years for that. And we had interviews, but I recall the first interview we had with the authorities. It was 2 separate rooms, and they just want to make sure that, you're not paying for this,
mm-hmm.
that somebody is not, benefiting by taking money for this. So I was in a separate room, and they asked me when did I first meet Pär, and what clothes was he wearing, and things about him. And I remember the exact date because, again, I'm a romantic. I knew what clothes he wore, what time I met him, which day I met him, which day of the week it was. And then when they met Pär, and he said, it was sometime around October. It was, these big answers. Excuse me.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Yeah, and they asked me, because I looked like I'd really prepared and studied my answers, because I said, yeah, we met on this day, and But then later on, I think after the girls were born, after the second girl was born, they eased up a little with these interviews, because up until then we were still having these interviews with them.
Okay. Interesting experience. And for the kids, then they naturally get their citizenship
Swedish
because of
citizen.
a parent is. Okay. And
Yeah.
just curious then, do they also get the Indian aspect of it? That's obvious, of course.
No,
Okay. So the
no,
OCI
because you
doesn't.
can only have one. Yeah,
I
so
know
we
that.
have OCIs.
Yeah. So they can have the OCIs then, right? So that's
Yes,
okay, wonderful.
including Pär. He's an overseas citizen of India.
Oh, is that right? Okay. So even the spouse gets that. Wonderful.
Yes,
So there you go. If they want to learn Hindi, kids, you can.
they can do. Yeah, true that. True.
आप जा सकते हो मुंबई जाके रहो हिंदी सीखो wonderful all right how is Sweden just explain to us a bit more. You talked about the 3 cities and you talked about it, but then is this also the place where you get to see the northern lights? What's fun like? What are vacations like when you're in Sweden?
Sweden is, yeah, I have only wonderful things to say about Sweden. The people are wonderful. I mean, the city is very clean, which is also why you have so many allergies.
Oh,
It took me 2 years to get my first allergy with cherries, the little cherries.
like what you eat?
Yeah.
What do you eat?
Yes, the cherries. Yeah, cannot eat cherries, cannot eat pears, the fruit. Apples, yes. I mean, you get and I think it's just because it's so clean. The people I told you are shy. Stockholm is beautiful. It's called the Venice of the Nordics because there's water. Yes, there's a lot of islands, and it's absolutely beautiful. So I think to all your viewers and listeners, I would encourage them to come visit Sweden. I think there's a lot of Indians here as well now, especially in Gothenburg, because from the IT companies that are coming in and working here with the likes of Volvo and
Absolutely.
F.
Absolutely. And I've heard from a few friends also about the Northern Lights. And have you had that experience? Of course, I mean, you lived there for a while.
Yeah, I think that lately a lot of people in Stockholm have been able to see it. I actually went to Finland to see the Nordic Lights. Because up until then we had not. But in the past couple of years, we've been able to see it a lot more.
So, we live in Melbourne, and the last year for a couple of, at least 2 times I distinctly remember, there was this whole Southern Lights, Aurora, no, what's it called? I forget it now. Okay. So the Southern Lights, basically, right? So they said that it was visible. And of course, I'm not that crazy about it, I admit. So I did not really make a dash to the beach or anywhere like that. But then even the few folks who did go there, they're like, did you see it? And and they go like, yeah, we did, but it's not something that's visible to the naked eye. You can only really, really see the lights when you're capturing it on a camera, apparently. Is that how it is in the Northern Lights as well, or do you see it with a naked eye?
So when we were in Finland, it was easy to see it with the naked eye. It was just, massive. But also it was not sorry, what am I saying? I'm sorry, it was not in Finland, it was Norway.
Norway, okay.
You are not in the city because the lights of the city are so bright, that's what dims it, and then you cannot see.
You have to be far
so
out.
they took us. Yeah, it was a tourist thing that we did, and they took you way out, past midnight, out into the wilderness, and then you stand there, which is also freezing, and so much pain in your neck because all you're doing is standing and looking up at the sky. Yes, so and then you freeze, you start jumping on the spot because you're getting frozen standing still. But it's beautiful. I think everybody should see it at least one time. But it was here that my daughter saw it, and it was at like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, and she saw it just outside our window.
Yeah,
I'm not even going to ask what she was doing at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning awake.
Absolutely, data privacy. No, you All right. So on that note, it's a beautiful segue as well. Your daughter, I saw that beautiful note that she had written on that LinkedIn post, and she called you an influencer mom.
Is it?
Yes. You said, thank you, my influencer bub, or something like that. So tell us about that journey. how, I mean, if your daughter is calling you an influencer, you have really arrived. You know, you're doing the right thing. I told you about my little experience of what my son thinks of me. So
It was a few years ago. I won the award in Stockholm in the Nordics for data and AI influencer, and I think that's where. But I was still working at Zenzact, the software for self-driving cars, and for me, I feel like I have not a responsibility. I like to share knowledge because I think knowledge is best if it is shared, and and I love people to ask me questions about it. So I was out there talking a lot about what we were doing with the self-driving cars and how it's going to help save lives. So it was a Nordic award, and it was a voting, and I won that award. So from then I felt, okay, what do you do once you get suddenly an award for influencer data and AI? Then I thought, okay, I got to keep at this because I like doing this as well. It's not just for the award. So that's where now in my company, I mean, in addition to the YouTube, also the podcast, not the YouTube, sorry, the podcast that I've just launched, I've always made it a point to share either, thought leadership about data, about AI, what we're doing, what my clients are doing, or just my own views. And I love it because, I mean, like you said, what your little boy said to you. I have 3. And I absolutely love their thoughts because I go to them and say, this is what I'm thinking. How do you see it? I think I learn so much from them because I'm kind of open to, okay, this is the way I'm looking at it. And I know you guys are more into this space than I am, and I'm just trying to get here. So even the thumbnail for my podcast, I'm more on LinkedIn, and that's where I feel my audience is. So on YouTube, when I was trying to create a thumbnail, all 3 went down on me and like, you cannot use this because, this is not the way you do it on YouTube, and you should be more funky. And I go, funky is not me. I am classic. And I thought, fine, instead of having my own view on it, I'd go like, okay, fine, how would you do it?
Right.
So that's where I'm actually asking all 3 of them. And my youngest, she's on the board of my private company, and I told her if what board members, because she said, what does that mean? So I said, as a board member, you got to make me successful. And if there's if the success is mine, whichever way, success is yours, and that's what board members do. So I'm also trying to give her a crash course on how to be a board member, and she's doing strategic communications. I said, you're going to create a TikTok account for me and going to help me to launch mine, because that's what she's doing for Girls at Tech. So I've also got my daughters very involved in Girls at Tech. Help me stand there, talk about, help the other girls. We need to help one another.
Absolutely. That leadership training that you had gotten when we were absolutely young from your vice principal, I see that you're in a very nice way passing it on. You're not making them kneel down or anything like that, except at the church, but you're not making them kneel down anywhere else. And you're giving them wonderful education like this. But tell us, how is this podcaster journey looking like? One podcaster to another podcaster, what tips do you have for me?
Yeah, I think your son would be embarrassed with my number of subscribers as well. So let's not go there.
I do want to listen to it. Yeah.
No, but that is not for me. At least maybe, I'm just an old timer, but that is not the point of it. It's not, I mean, yes, I understand if you want to be successful as in, monetarily wise, maybe that's what you need to be doing. And yes, hey, who doesn't want to make money, right? So at some point, Sanjeev, you and I need to be making money from our podcast. But I think just now it's how many what is relevant and how many people can we reach? So, and my podcast focuses on data, AI, innovation, and leadership, which is also, it's a lot of fun because, again, I'm a very decisive person. I was on my treadmill. I got off my treadmill after a 5-kilometer run, and I came and told my husband, this is what we're going to do. And this is what it's going to be focusing about. And, married to an engineer, you say what you say what you want to do and run away from there, because then all the no, but we can't, and no, but. So it's my husband who's the editor. So it's really a family and a team effort here. Because he is the editor, and then investing in all the gear and getting the girls to help us with the editing. and then also trying to get this younger perspective of what would they like. But I still need to keep it true to me. This is mine, and somehow it has to be true to me. But I also want their input to say, does it resonate with the younger audiences?
Wonderful. So you kind of have a producer and editor in the house, but at the same time you have a critique or an audience who can critique you.
Yes. Oh my God! And kids, and they can be so cruel sometimes.
Can there be anything else? Sorry, I'll edit that part. But jokes apart, with due regards to, and respects to you, I think I'll probably need to be speaking to Pär a bit more, because I need that those tips on the podcasting part of it. The way it started for me, Vanessa, is that this is still in my head. Maybe I need to collaborate a bit more, and that's my year 2 goal. But my year 1 was very straightforward for me. Honestly, the idea of CoolKarnis came because I'm a very lazy person, basically. I'm the opposite of you in a way. I can't be that decisive. I can't be that bold. I need I'm the dhakka start. Like, you used to have our Bajaj Supers, you need to bend us a bit and then the scooter starts kind of thing. So I needed the dhakka start. And what I felt was, instead of waiting to get the dhakka start from somewhere, why don't I start these conversations? I'm talking to passionate people who are pursuing their passion. Each time I hear a story, something inside me moves and ticks. The second thing that was happening was, I was just simply thinking this over and over in my head in terms of, what do I need? How much setup do I need? I need this, I need that, I need this. And it was unending in terms of what is needed to get started. And then it occurred to me that all you need is the other person who's willing to talk to you, and maybe a good camera that can capture what you're doing. And even if you don't have a camera, it's a good audio, because it's a podcast at the end of the day. And that was a turning moment for me. I said, instead of just waiting for this to happen, why don't you get started, and you can continue getting better and continue enhancing it as you progress. Sorry for that little.
And I think that is brilliant, because you're right. You have to get started somewhere, and we had this started, and it was only last week on Friday that I actually officially kicked it off. So after we had the official kickoff after 18 podcasts. Because I also wanted to make sure that I'm getting the right people, exactly what you're doing. Who do you want to talk to? Yeah. And for me, from a data perspective, I'm looking at who are the movers, what are they doing? And also leaders. So mine has just data leaders and influencers in this space that want to talk to me about data. And again, Sanjeev, not everybody loves you, and not everybody will come to your studio, and that's completely okay.
Absolutely. And I completely concur with you on that. Is there a bigger and a wider audience that you can reach out to? Who are your target audience? Yes. By the same token, do I know who my target audience is? No. Because if I'm getting influencers of this nature, if I'm getting people who are pursuing a passion of this nature, there can never be one target audience, because every influencer I get on, every CoolKarni I get on will have an audience of their own. And that is the audience that you tap onto. Brilliant. I love this. What's next? I see that every century, what am I talking? Yes, your life has moved centuries, it's moved millenniums as well. But every decade, there is something that gets added. So what do the next 3 or 4 decades look like, Vanessa? I can already see that your grandkids are going to call you an influencer as well.
Oh, bless. I don't know. But I think that I think I want to keep adding value. So, starting my own company was scary. I had people who were wanting to sign me up as an employee, and I asked one of the ladies, who was really a very close friend, and she wanted to have me as an employee, and I said, please, I just want to test my own wings. If I never do this, I'm going to regret. And also, having never had your company before, your own, going from scratch, what do I need to do, from the official papers of setting a company up to, how do I do this? But this is my tick in the box. I don't know where it's going to go, but it's just so much fun just now. And especially since I get to work with my husband and the family, and everybody's involved in this. I don't know what the future is, but I just know that it's fun for now. I think that tomorrow, maybe if a super role comes along, I will take it. But I have this experience of saying that to know how, and I would know how it felt.
Wonderful, and I think that just brilliant because you just take every day as it comes along. And rest assured, the way your life has progressed, Vanessa, there is going to be that one trigger. There is going to be that one thing that maybe the Lord will be pointing or saying in a certain way that will carve the next path for you. I have to ask you this question. I had told you that there is one question about your mom that I wanted to ask you. What does she think of the ugly duckling now?
Yeah, I actually said this to my daughter yesterday. I really was the ugly duckling. But what does she think? I think she's really proud of me. Um, you know, it's been challenging. I think for a mum who is very Indian, where the boys are everything. And sorry, Sanjeev, not everybody is like that. But I think we have a culture where the boy will always be the boy, and the daughters are nothing.
And to be honest, it's not Indian, Vanessa. It's probably in many cultures across the world.
Yeah, I speak from it because I'm Indian, but I think that I've fought with her over the years because it was so difficult for her to invest in me. I'll give you an example, which I've also shared, and I've told her, but she doesn't see that. She doesn't see it because it's her way of thinking. My brother and I used to share the bedroom, and we had our beds on either side of the room, and my bed would be neatly made, and he would not fold his bed sheet. So I remember a day when I was hitting him physically. I jumped on him and I was hitting him, and he was screaming out to my mom. So she came to separate us. And I said, tell him to make his bed because it was destroying my entire room.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, you are going to get married and go to somebody else's house and make their bed. So you can start to practice now.
Ooh.
Yes. And at that time, of course, I didn't think about it because, my mom said something and I continued to pull him and, make him make his bed. But today, that is a big statement, exactly the same reaction that you had, right? It's a big statement. And, over the years, it was always, no, you can get away with whatever. Like she always had to protect her sons.
Mm.
It was never the same. But it's also, I'm thinking, reflecting that I'm the third child, I'm the middle one, and nobody really cared about me, which also gave me the space to make my mistakes, fall, crash, get up, dust yourself, get back in the game. So I think it also made me. So I have no regrets. I think it is what it is, and it made me the person I am today. Faulty, cracked, everything, but still standing up. It's quite okay. And I mean, my mom, to have three daughters is also, wish you had a son. But I'm so proud of my girls. I think it's a difference. It's a difference.
Absolutely. And look, what a potter does is they're continuously kind of putting it into the fire. It does have the cracks, but then that's what makes it right. And what good is a pot if it doesn't have cracks in it? Because that is exactly what keeps the water cold, and that's exactly what keeps it fresh. So sometimes we don't know why we have the cracks and why we are going through the fire, but it's all for the good.
Exactly. And it keeps me humble. It gives me gratitude for, like my grandmother's bangles, like this nun who picked me up from kneeling down and gave me a vice captain. I think I look back and I'm so full of gratitude to all these people that came into my journey.
Absolutely. And that's the best ending that we could have had on this wonderful message that you've given us, Vanessa. Thank you. Thank you so very much for spending this time with us on the CoolKarnis. Thank you for inspiring generations of girls. I know it says tech, girls at tech, but hopefully at some day it'll be kids at tech, and it is be for everybody. And continue being that influencer mom, influencer grandmom, influencer whatever. But influencer Vanessa, let's just leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless. I really appreciate this talk. Thank you.
Thank you, and have a great day and a great week ahead.
You too.
Thank you, everyone, at the CoolKarnis. We will be back with the next guest on the CoolKarnis. Similar story. Stay tuned and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Cheers.